We all know certain Japanese cities for quite infamous reasons. The big two, of course, are Nagasaki and Hiroshima for quite obvious reasons, but there's actually a completely different group of 4 cities, largely unknown overseas yet deeply infamous within Japan for being the birthplaces of Japan's 4 big pollution diseases. One of these is actually a place I've been to before, Yokkaichi, where I filmed the narrowest train in all of Japan. Over there it was Yokkaichi asthma, born from unregulated sulfur dioxide spewed directly into the air by sprawling petrochemical complexes. But the city we're visiting today, down in Kyushu, was home to arguably the worst of them all. A tragedy where everyday people through no fault of their own were physically and mentally twisted, mangled and socially ostracized due to the negligence and corporate greed of the very company they believed was building their future. So today we're heading down to the city in question to unpack exactly what happened here, examine how the community still carries those scars today, and see why it's a place still deeply worth visiting. We finally arrived at Minamata. Only took about 2 hours, which is about maybe 6 times longer than it would have taken to get on the Shinkansen and then go to Shin Minamata, which was 1 stop back. But anyways, that's fine because we have a story to tell about this place, and it involves what I'm looking at actually right in front of me. So just a bit of a walk and I'll explain what's happened here. So right behind me there is a factory from the JNC Corporation, and it's this factory that's behind probably one of the biggest man-made health disasters in not only Japan but maybe even in the entire world, and that's around the Minamata disease. So the story starts around 1909 when Minamata was pretty much nothing more than an impoverished fishing village. That is until a factory right here was built, mainly to produce materials for making plastic and such, I believe. And that pretty much changed the fortunes of this tiny little village completely. Employees moved in, many people already living here were employed by the factory, and basically what that meant is that this town kind of experienced a boom, really. New shops opened, obviously the population swelled to, I don't know what the numbers are, I'll see if I can put them on the screen, but long story short, the residents here and the workers were extremely thankful for this factory. It made the area prosperous, it gave people money, it turned the fortunes of this town. Little did they know, it was kind of changing their fortunes in a far worse way. One of the materials they were using to construct various compounds and stuff here was mercury, or I believe a form of it which by itself isn't exactly harmful, but one of the byproducts of it, methyl mercury, is if ingested in large amounts, it can cause various damage to the nervous system. You can have trouble walking, speaking, I believe your field of vision is blurred. There are a load of different symptoms of it, and this factory, unlike I guess a normal factory or a factory doing things properly, where I guess they would take that material and dispose of it in a safe way out of harm from humans, they dumped it into the bay here, untreated, just raw methyl mercury, very harmful to people and human life, and life in general, which wasn't first really known. I mean, the workers didn't know, the residents didn't know. The first signs was not through humans, but rather through the wildlife in the oceans. I believe fish were seen basically turned upright in the sea dead. Birds would start acting irrationally, crashing into the water and dying. And I think the most interesting story is what they call neko odori byo, or basically the dancing cat disease, where again cats as well would start acting irrationally, running in circles, frothing at the mouth and dying. I believe the cat population here was pretty much 0 within 2 years, and what that means is that obviously the mouse population in turn increased dramatically, which obviously by itself brings a lot of issues. I believe it was first diagnosed in humans in 1954, 1956, around then, by the actual in-house factory doctor, where two sisters were basically diagnosed with this new unknown disease that was causing damage to their nervous system. Now again, if all was well and normal which I mean at this point it really isn't, but if they were looking to do things in a correct and morally correct way, this would be reported and things would have been done about it. But you have to remember again, first of all, this factory and factories all around Japan were powering the economic boom of Japan in the 60s, 70s and 80s, pretty much post-war. And Japan, the national government and private companies wanted nothing that would stop that growth. So pretty much what happened was it was covered up. The doctor was told to not continue researching it, but was basically shut up. But I think they redirected the wastewater not into the sea, yay, which is good, except not yay, because they directed it into the Minamata River, which basically spread the problem to more people, pretty much. And the national government stood by, watching, doing nothing, because again, it was not in their interests to potentially slow the momentum of this economic miracle. I believe it was only around 1968 or in the 70s when this factory stopped using mercury as one of the ingredients in their manufacturing, when the national government was more than happy to admit that yes, this Minamata disease, as it became known, was coming from the methyl mercury dispersed by this factory. And from there, pretty much, how do I say, toxic dirt in the sea was shoveled out, more stringent measuring of the water quality was undertaken. A lot of things were done to improve the quality of the water, and I believe in 1997 it was officially declared safe, and now the water is actually one of the more strictly monitored in all of Japan. It's completely safe, and obviously I'm staying here, so don't worry, the food I'm eating and everything, the water I'll be drinking is completely safe, probably even safer arguably than maybe other parts of the country. But that's obviously of little comfort to the victims, who obviously even now there are still maybe hundreds or thousands. And it's important to note that this wasn't just a health issue, although of course that was huge. It was also a social issue, because the people with this disease, and Minamata as a whole, was ostracized. People thought it was some local contagious disease, and that if they went into here they would get it as well, and they didn't want that. So people with the disease, even in the town, were ostracized. If you claimed to have this disease, you were accused of trying to get money from the factory, sick money or whatever. And so basically, if you or a family member had this disease, you were hidden away in the back of your house and, not shown to the general public. It was a huge social and health issue, and obviously, inevitably, political issue that still has ramifications today, not even in Japan, but around the world. I believe there was a UN resolution on mercury poisoning, which was named after Minamata, to basically prevent this sort of tragedy from happening again. Now, that's the end of the story on the Minamata disease. If you want more information, I believe there's a very fascinating tale of an American doctor moving here to investigate it, and he took loads of photos and such. I believe there's even a movie of it. I'll put more information down in the description, because I'm sure they've explained it even better than I have. But anyways, that's the end of that story. Next, what I'm going to be going to is now a somewhat run down, sorry, this is not an awfully good showing for Minamata, but I swear there is a silver lining to this. I'll be going to its hot spring resort up on the coast, which unfortunately also has seen better days, let's just say. So I'm heading back to the station right now, and hopefully there's a taxi there for me to ride. So I'm back at Minamata station, and there are no taxis, unfortunately. So what I'm probably gonna have to do is maybe ask for a number somewhere and call them. Alrighty, taxi called. I feel like I've been single-handedly upholding the taxi industry in Japan with how many taxis I've called in this trip. But when public transport isn't up to scratch, is what happens, I guess. Anyways, it should be coming right here. So let's wait for it, and I'll be heading to my accommodation for tonight, which is Shoryokan. こんにちは。ブランドンですね。はい。商用館までお願いします。Alrighty, so I've arrived at my accommodation, which is right behind me, but it's a bit awkward because I'm not going there just yet. I actually want to show you guys the riverfront of this area because it really is quite interesting, let's just say. So this part of Minamata is a hot spring resort area called Yunoko. And it's, I mean, obviously it still does have resort towns and ryokans and stuff. I mean, obviously I'm staying there, but let's just say it's unfortunately past its glory days. And I've been told that the riverfront here is really quite, how do I say, it shows it off pretty well. And I'm looking to the left, I'm waiting to pan into the left because I can see exactly what they're talking about, and it looks absolutely incredible. Da-dum! Look at that over there. That is exactly the picture I saw, and that's exactly what I want to show you guys. So to talk about why Yunoko is not as prosperous as it once was, you need to obviously talk about the economic boom years of Japan, which were the 70s, 80s, 60s and such. And back then, basically, obviously Japan had a lot of money flowing around, and what companies would often do is take employees on company-sponsored trips, usually within Japan. And as a result, to meet that demand, hotels, resorts and stuff were built everywhere, including obviously here in Yunoko. And so along the riverfront here, you used to have tons and tons and tons of resorts. Now, obviously it happened, you know, similar, you know, I think it's a story we all already know. That economic boom did not last. In the 90s, early 90s, it faded and turned into a bust. And obviously a lot of these places went bust, which we can obviously see here. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand. It's not as if this place is completely dead. That place over there is apparently a really big resort, very nice. And the one place I'm staying at as well is lovely. And I think you have one or two other resorts still here, but there used to be so much more. And that in particular is what I want us to take a look at. So we're going to look at the riverfront, and then I believe there is a street where there used to be tons of shops and restaurants, but they're no longer there anymore. You know, discarding the obvious thing that I'm looking at right in front of me, let's take a moment to appreciate this absolutely gorgeous view. Although the weather, of course, right now is not the best. It's very cloudy and it's still drizzling with rain. You can never deny that. It's got a lovely view, and you can certainly see why they set up a resort here. They certainly didn't make a mistake in the area. So in terms of how I came to find out, or really find this place, there was a picture that circulated online maybe a few months ago now, or maybe a year ago now when I saw it, of this here, which is like the old Japanese style building that's started to crumble. I believe this place, despite appearances, didn't close that long ago. I think it was a matter of years rather than tens of years, let's just say. But it seems like its decline was very swift and very quick because, I mean, just look at it. I guess this was another wing of, I guess this was one whole massive complex, and it was just the center bit that was in a more Japanese style. And if you just zoom in, apologies, my zoom isn't going to be the best, but you can see the balconies have just been completely covered, especially the lower bits, in ivy. Got to wonder what the inside looks like, but not as much as wondering what this bit looks like. Wowee. If we zoom in again, you can see the doors, the shoji sliding doors, the paper's been ripped off. It's just simply utterly collapsing in parts. I really need to, I'm going to see if I can find out when exactly it closed, because I really want to know. I don't want to just speculate, because this is dire. This is not just, oh, it's been left for 1 or 2 years and wibbly wobbly woo. This is big. And it's even got one of the rare instances of graffiti in Japan. As I saw, the grating here, the iron gates here were still kind of in place, and this here has now been split in half. This used to be the sign for this place. I can't read it anymore. It's the paint's too faded, and you can see there's a very uncharacteristic, very vibrant pool in the front of this very traditional looking structure. Well, I mean, obviously can't go in there because it's, you know, it's still obviously owned and managed by someone probably, and going in is illegal. So all I can do is show you here and just show you what we can see, and we can only speculate what it looks like in there. And I mean, I'm not sure if I even want to go in there, even if I could, because it doesn't seem like the most structurally sound building there. But, you know, I've been very, very negative about Minamata, but I really don't want to, because I mean, first of all, obviously, although what happened with the citizens with the Minamata disease is absolutely crushing and awful, thankfully people are learning from its disaster. And again, Minamata has gone through amazing pains to fix the issue, and it's now completely safe. They even have a Minamata prevention museum. If you're interested in the subject, I forgot to mention it when I was talking about the story of Minamata. And again, although this building here is completely collapsed, my hotel is not, and it's supposed to be very nice. I'm not sure how much I'm going to show of it, because usually for my trips, when I enter the hotel, for me, that's when it turns it from a video to just me wanting to relax. So I'll probably show you some pictures of the interior right now. I think I reserved a Japanese style room, so it should be quite lovely. I also got food there because, as I said, not a lot of food options, which again, I almost forgot. I will show you. There's a street down there. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to walk down again the riverside, and then we're going to take a look at what used to be the main street, and then I'll probably end it there. And I mean, it goes without saying, it just feels so bizarre to have this incredibly wide, how would you say, this sort of path? There is a word for it, but unfortunately I can't remember. It's just so weird. You can tell it was made for many, many more people than there are right now. Now, in fairness, it is a Monday. It's probably and it's not a holiday as well. I've booked this day off and tomorrow as well to do these trips I've been doing. So it's probably, if there was a time where it'd be the least busy, it'd be pretty much right now. But that doesn't make it any less just simply jarring to walk through here. Wait, hallelujah. There are other people here. So this is just something I assumed, especially when looking at Google Maps and just looking at the street structure, that this was the kind of main artery, the main shopping district of this area. And it looks like that's probably the case, given it's paved. That's usually a good sign. So let's see what isn't here. So one thing that did show up on Google Maps is this yakitori place, which is this place I'm zooming into right here with the white sign. That place seems to still be in operation. And I believe the place right opposite here is also a hot spring. Although its operation is maybe in a bit of doubt. Never mind, I don't think that's operating at all. Okay, but this place, I think it's open right now, actually. So, I mean, I've booked food from my accommodation. It is recommended, it says, to do that because although this yakitori place is open, I believe it's probably the only place you can get food. There are no konbinis or anything here. It's truly old school. And again, if the message hasn't been driven hard enough, there you go, another building slowly being taken over by nature and ivy. Although ivy is nature, so maybe I shouldn't have split it out like that. Anyways. And of course, one thing to make clear, when you see these sorts of open patches in a street, that used to have a building on it, clearly. Obviously, it makes it look clean. That's why they've done it. Obviously, not only for appearances, but also for safety. If it collapsed on someone, not needless to say, very bad. But just basically to better understand how much a place is just losing buildings and businesses, you have to take that into consideration as well. So this place, this is I think the biggest resort still here, but it says today is, just day onsen is that it's a break today or something like that. I think they're already closed, but I think it was still open for hotel business at least. Imagine this car park here maybe used to have, maybe not, because there are houses right behind it, so no, maybe not. But anyways, that's pretty much, it seems, the end of the road, although it seems there is maybe something right at the end here on the coast. So, when else am I ever going to be here? Let's go take a look. Konnichiwa. あら、猫いっぱいいるね、猫は。あ、飼ってますか、猫。飼ってます。おお、すごいね。あら、触させてくれるかな。おお、かわいいな。チクチクチクチク。 あら、猫を探していますか？
なんか猫いっぱいいるの。今喧嘩したのをね、今追いかけてるの。
ああ、そうですか。あらららら。
だってもう弱い者いじめしやがって。
あら、自分が飼ってる猫ではないのですか？あのやつは。飼ってないんですか？
飼ってる猫。
ああ、そうですか。
飼ってる猫でね、弱い子をいじめるのよ。
ああ、そうですか。
トラちゃんはね。
あれはさすがにダメですね。では、失礼します。My, it seems that there's been some cat bullying here. Look at all these cats. It seems like thankfully the cat population has recovered. It seems like these cats are not quite as friendly. Oh my god, there's even more here. There's so many cats. Oh, it was so worth coming all this way for the cats. Nah, he's not interested in me. Oh, but there are mikan, oranges, being sold. Oh, maybe I'll pick some up because this area, so if you're wondering why that orange railway is called the Orange Railway, the railway, oh my god. The reason why it's called the Orange Railway is because the oranges here are famous. So you had to say, Brandon, you didn't have to cough up a bloody chicken to say it. Oh boy. You know what, Brandon, for your troubles, I'm making you walk across this bridge and saying goodbye to everyone in the middle of it. I will say, if I came during better weather, this would be a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place. Absolutely gorgeous. And you can see the old ruins of the old resort town with a few specks of life still sticking out. I really enjoyed my trip to Minamata and the trip to get here. I know I've been very negative on Minamata, but again, I need to reiterate, it has some really amazing ryokans and onsens here. The nature is outstanding. So if any of this looks interesting and desirable to you, please come to these sorts of places. Don't just go to, I mean, no, I won't say don't go to where you want to go, but at least give these places a bit of thought, right? Especially if you have just a bit of a sense of adventure, why not go for it, right? Why not go for it and try to visit these sorts of places? But now, that's where I'm going to end today's video, and that's going to be the end of my trip, where I should now be able to relax and not worry about things except for the typhoon, which may cancel my train back home tomorrow. But that's for me to worry about, not you. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed the videos on this trip. But for now, stay safe and have a good one.